Okay. Hello, everybody. Hopefully this is coming through okay. If you are here watching with me live, if you could let me know down in the chat if you can hear everything okay. Uh, just want to make sure that the mic is good and that you can see everything okay as well. And same goes if you're on the replay. It is my hope that everything goes just fine. So if you're here with me, if you want to just type hi down in the chat, if everything sounds okay, and we will get into it. And I do want to just say thank you so much for coming to spend some time with me and learn a little bit more about the program that I have. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself too. And then at the end, I did put together a few questions that I have here on this post-it note that are some FAQs that I typically get from people who are first starting their practices or kind of in the midst of it, still within the first like year or two of working for themselves. So I figured we could kind of go over those as well. And if you have questions as we are going, please leave them in the chat. I should be able to see them. And we'll go from there. So without further ado, let's get into it. So we have here DPT to CEO. This is the program that I've worked really hard to create over the past couple of years. And I have been getting some questions this week as I've been promoting the self-paced version of this program. So I wanted to address all of them here at once, and hopefully this will be helpful. So things that we are planning to go over. We're going to do introductions. So, you guys who are out there and we are watching, or you guys are watching, let's see. I feel like this is not the right slide, but, oh, this is so interesting. Hold on. Let me get the right slides. Hold on. But those of you who are watching and here with me, if you can type in the chat, let me know where you are watching from. I'm in Las Vegas. And then I can know a little bit more about everybody here who is viewing the presentation. Okay, so this is the right slide. What we are talking about. I think that one was like an old one. I'm not sure where that even came from. But introduction. So I'll tell you guys a little bit more about me because I know that we have some new people here. And then we'll talk a little bit about how this program started, who it's for, results that I've seen here in the program, what's included. I'll show you like the inside. I had some people ask about kind of like what the program like roadmap is and how like the student progresses through the program, how to join, and then like I said, answering questions towards the end. So let me tell you a little bit about me for those of you who don't know me. My name is Morgan. I am a physical therapist by trade, and I graduated in 2018. So I've been practicing for a little while now. And I started working in an outpatient clinic, like big box clinic, when I first left school. I lasted there for about 4 months before I was exhausted beyond belief. Just seeing like tons and tons of patients every day, all the documentation, and not really feeling like clinical fulfillment too much. So I ended up leaving that clinic. I went into home health. And I did that for a little while until I decided to start my own practice, which I started in October of 2019, and I'm still practicing now. I usually see a handful of patients every couple of weeks or so. And I also am doing business coaching, digital marketing stuff. So full-fledged, have been working for myself since I think I left home health in the beginning of 2020. So yeah, I've been working for myself for a few years now, which is really cool. I decided to start my practice mainly because I wanted to be able to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to be able to work with athletes, which is like my favorite population to work with. And I just wanted to have like more control over my life in general. I didn't want to have to be somewhere at a certain time, like unless I decided to do that. Show up at the clinic at 8 or 9 o'clock and then can't leave until 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And I didn't want to just like give up my days to this big company that I felt like I was really only there to be able to bill patients, and the emphasis was not on patient care too much. So I wanted to take more charge of my clinical life. I wanted more charge of my everyday life, and I wanted to be able to like enjoy being alive and life outside of school. Um, so that's kind of like where I started with everything. And just to show you some pictures of a little bit about my life. This picture up here is a picture of me and my teammates at a CrossFit competition that we just did. This is my husband, Kyle. He's also a physical therapist. He works in acute care, and some of you might know him from the acute care course that we made together. And this is my dog, Goni, who is named after a goniometer. um, so anyway, that's kind of like a little bit of my background there. And I was working for myself in my practice for about 6 months. And then I started getting like a few inquiries here and there from some people that I knew from school, people I knew from work, about how to go about starting your own practice. And that is when I figured out that I am a huge nerd about business stuff. And I really wanted to be able to share this information with as many people as I could. And that is when I first started doing business coaching, and I had a program, and I did that for a couple of years until, let's see, I think summer 2021 is when I also started doing digital marketing, and I started working with a practice in Chicago. And now I work with a handful of practices across the country doing their digital marketing, specifically content marketing, email ads. For those of you who are familiar with that stuff or interested. So all of this to say, I wanted to put this information together to show you that like I've really been through the journey from the beginning to where I am right now. I started in the clinic, I graduated PT school, went through all of that, started in the clinic. I did home health. I worked at another private clinic. I've worked for myself. I've helped other people start clinics, and I have also done the marketing for clinics as well. So I've kind of done the full gamut of things. And it's been really cool to have like that different perspective for running a cash-based private practice from all different angles. So yeah, and then the next piece here being like the beginning of the program. So how did the DPT to CEO program start? And this kind of goes back to when I first started doing business coaching. I didn't really know, I guess, like what I was doing as far as becoming a business coach, but I knew that I really liked talking about my experience building a business and the different things that I had gone through and how I found different ways to like avoid mistakes and get through barriers, and like the exact instructions on like exactly how to start a business, that I felt like I had to just dig through so much information to find at all. So like compiling all this information and creating instructions and checklists and guides on how to do this became one of my favorite things. And that's what this older image is of, is I made like a 30-day action guide. It transitioned into being telehealth a lot, like through the pandemic. So it's evolved into the Telehealth Business Academy. From there, it evolved into the cash-based solo practice accelerator. I'm, as you can see, not amazing with names. So that wasn't my favorite name, but felt like it described what it was. And the fourth or fifth iteration of this program now is called DPT to CEO. So I put all of this up here to show you guys that I started doing something that I was really passionate about without like fully having all of the knowledge and experience that maybe I thought that I needed, but I learned by doing, and I learned by making mistakes. I learned through taking action, working with other people, and allowed myself the opportunity to have version 1, version 2, version 3, up to whatever this is, version 5 or 6 of a program. And it took time to figure out what was going to work the best. But this is what is working now, and I'm really proud of it. It took time to build, but it is definitely a very comprehensive course. And I say all of that because I would want to encourage you to feel the same way about starting your own practice and starting your own business, is that it's not going to be perfect at first. You're going to have version 1 through whatever it is of your business. And the only way that you are truly going to understand what that is by doing and trying and evaluating the results and going from there. So I think that was mostly what I wanted to talk about with this slide, but it's been a long time coming up to DPT to CEO. Oh, and the reason that I picked this name is because I really feel like in this program, what my whole goal is and my vision for this program is to not only teach you how to start a cash-based practice and work with patients privately on your own, but I also want to be able to teach you the foundations of running a business, marketing a business, doing sales, so that you have like a full understanding of kind of all of the basics to starting and growing a business. So you can be really successful in your practice, but you also can transfer this knowledge into businesses down the road, other ways that you want to work for yourself, or even, say none of that even worked out, you would become a much more marketable employee because you would have a ton of business skills that you could apply to anywhere that you work. So you really become like this, as we all want to be, an autonomous clinician because you have the skills to not only work with patients, but also run a super successful business. And make sure to let me know in the chat, in the comments, if you have any questions, and I'll double check at the end as well. So who is this program for? Like I said, I'll show you like the nitty-gritty details here in a slide or two, so that we have like some context about what the DPT to CEO program is. But before we get into that, this program, who is it for? Clinically, physical therapist is what it's originally based on because that's what I am. But I've worked with occupational therapists, chiropractors. This program could apply to speech therapists, and even some of us who have like these licenses and these backgrounds. I've also worked with people who started a business doing like fitness and wellness coaching. So not necessarily like the medical aspect, but they started working with people in like a health-based fashion. That was something different. So anything like this, and if you have questions, let me know if it could apply to you. But these are some of the different professionals I've worked with. And then on the other side, what do you need to embody in order to be successful in this program? And I think that these criteria, they apply to both this program and just running a business in general. And this is not an exhaustive list by any means. It's just the first few things that had come to mind that I think are really, really important when it comes to starting and growing your own business. So one, you have to be self-motivated. And when it comes to taking a course, much like the self-paced version of DPT to CEO, you have to be able to take the initiative to, read the things, watch the things, do the homework, and continue forward throughout the entire curriculum. If you have trouble doing that, it can be helpful to work with a coach. And I do get a lot of feedback that working with either me, or another business coach is helpful for the accountability so that you kind of have this like external motivation to keep up with things. So, either way, you do have to have some kind of self motivation yourself, but particularly with a self paced program, um, you're going to have to rely on yourself to get yourself through things. Um, Never give up attitude. I was just talking to one of my clients about this. I've talked to a couple of people about this week, and I think that this is like essential to be successful in what you're doing. You have to have the mindset that if you want to create something, build something, sell something, you cannot give up on it, like, until you have done absolutely positively everything. But the likelihood that you will reach that before, seeing some level of success is not high if you keep yourself going. So, to give you an example, when you're first getting started in your practice, and maybe even within the first year or so, it's likely you are going to see some waves like in your caseload and in the appointments per week. You're going to have ups where you're really busy, and you're going to have downs where you're not. And you'll get to a point where you are grateful for the calm periods because it'll let you catch up on other things. And kind of take care of yourself as well. But you're going to have ups and downs. It's going to be an emotional roller coaster. That's kind of what we're signing up for. And in the down periods, when you have potentially like a lower caseload, what you need to keep in mind is that you are going to find your patients, or your patients are going to find you. They're out there. You just have to figure out how to bridge the gap and how to reach them and communicate with them. So say you have done tons of networking in your area, and you feel like you've done tons of networking, haven't really seen, much results, in the short term. A hint, networking is usually a long-term play as far as marketing goes. So anyway, side note, but say you've done a ton of networking, you feel like you've posted on social media, and still crickets. Where you can kind of like kind of sink yourself, so to speak, is if you decide that you have done everything at that point and you're just not going to get any more clients. Um, or they're not going to find you, or there's not enough. As soon as you let yourself sink into that scarcity mindset, you're kind of toast, because you are deciding that that's it, and there's no other options. So instead of that, you have to have the mindset of, okay, I've tried A and B. There's still C, D, E, F, G, etc. There are going to be more ways to find your clients. And if you can't think of any off the top of your head, that's what Google and YouTube are for. Do some research and learn about what there is. So this is kind of turning into just like regular old business advice, and not so much like about the program in particular. But you are going to be most successful in the DPT to CEO program if you have that attitude to be resourceful and relentless. Um, and, going along with that, somebody who is resourceful and relentless is also not going to be 1 foot in, 1 foot out. People I see falter in starting a practice are people who like they'll do things halfway, or they might put in like a little bit of work and then take too much of a break before getting back to working on their business. And it's just they're kind of in and out. So their practice results, their business results are also in and out. And it's really important that you are both feet in and you are committed to this. Um, in order to succeed. Because if you're just one foot in, one foot out, you're never going to get the results that you are wanting to have. And then lastly, determined and dedicated, kind of like the resourceful and relentless. You have to be determined to succeed, kind of like the never give up attitude. You have to decide for yourself that this is something that you are going to make work. And maybe version 1, version 2, version 3 don't work out the way that you want, but you are determined to make the next version succeed the way that you want it to. And you have to be dedicated to this business in the way that you want the business to show up for you. So, this is something else that I spoke with somebody about, where it seemed like their goal with running their practice and running their business had like a certain type and certain level of energy. Like their goal was, I want to be like full time in my business, have a ton of freedom, flexibility, work for myself. But the energy that they have on this side, like before reaching that goal, was not matching up. They weren't treating their business like a full-time business. They're treating it more so as a hobby. They weren't being consistent. So that consistent income and caseload, if that's what you want here and you're not being consistent on the other side, it's really hard to meet that goal. Um, and they just found themselves being like not super confident about talking about their practice and how they help people. And if you're not willing to put that information out there, how can you expect people to find you? So the energies are just like not really matching. And if you want this goal and like this energy over here, you have to be dedicated to figuring out what it's going to take to match your current self energy to your goal self energy. So that was a lot, I know. But hopefully, for those of you who are watching and listening to this, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. And I'd love to hear your thoughts if you want to leave some comments. But some things that will definitely help you succeed in business, period. But also things that if you are to join this program, DPT to CEO, whether it's the self-paced version that I am offering right now or coaching in the future, you have to decide that you are going to do this. And even if it is scary, and you feel a little bit unsure because of the unknown, you have to commit to yourself and learning through the process in order to be successful. So let's talk a little bit about results from the program. So DPT to CEO, there are a lot of different business coaching programs out there, and this one is not going to be the best fit for everybody, and that's totally okay. I really encourage you to always choose to purchase a program or work with a coach who feels really aligned with you, because you're going to also have the best experience by doing that. But I have had some people ask, like, what kind of people take this program? What kind of results do you see by the end? Like, what can I expect, essentially? And I think that's a really good question to ask, because if you are going to invest into yourself, into your business, into a course, you should have some kind of idea of what you're going to get out of it at the end. So I evaluate data from the program. So that's where these numbers come from. My brother helps me take a look at some of the different numbers that we have and crunch them and put them into a summary so that we can kind of understand what to expect. And just to give you an idea here, we have a little bit of information for people who join the DPT to CEO program. At the beginning of the program, a little more than half of our students either start completely from scratch, like haven't done anything, or they've done they've set up their LLC. So like they've done some paperwork, but they haven't really like put it out there that they are ready to start taking patients. And most of the students who begin the program are also working either full-time or part-time. Only, like it says, about a quarter of people are actively working on only their business. So most people are probably like you who are starting this program. They have another job, but they see themselves eventually leaving that job or dropping down to part-time at least. Um, and then down here, a little bit more like kind of results that we've seen within this program. It is the whole program is built to be done over the course of about 6 months. Sometimes it goes on a little bit longer, just kind of depending on how everything goes. But the median number of new patients enrolled by like the students, the clinicians in the program was 9 over a time frame of an average of 5 months. So in under the time frame of the program, we're seeing our students have a caseload of about 9, which is really cool, to be able to get something up and running and in 6 months or less have like partial to a full caseload, which I think is really cool. Like 6 months is not that long of a time frame in the grand scheme of things. So for what it's worth, I think it's kind of cool to be able to see those numbers and that there are tons of people just like you who were able to put in the time and the work to get there. And this is another question that I've gotten that I think is really beneficial to know. So, what is going to make you successful? So, we did go over, who do you kind of have to be in order to be successful in this program? But what is going to make you successful in terms of like how the business is set up? I think is kind of an interesting question to ask. So, from the data that we had put together, these are a few kind of things that came up. So, one is, does specialty matter? And from what I've seen, specialty itself doesn't really matter. What is important is to be able to put a specific problem into easy to understand language so that potential clients know what it is that you can help them with, and why you're passionate about it. The probably the hardest place to start is if you are wanting to practice general orthopedics across the entire lifespan. That's going to be really hard to market right off the bat. But as soon as you are able to narrow that down a little bit more to specific problems or a specific group of people, it definitely makes it a lot easier to market, and therefore you'll become successful faster. Then this question, can you do this while you are working full time? So can you participate in the DPT to CEO program while working full time? Can you start and grow a business while you're working full time? The answer is yes and no, of course. It depends. And my answer is yes, you can start your business while working full time. And depending on what your goals are, you could keep working full time and keep growing your business. But most of the people that I work with, they want to eventually have this as like a solid side income or do that full time. So if, say, your goal is to ultimately work for yourself full time, at some point, and usually in the program, it's around month 3 to 4, there's a breaking point where the work demand in your business and your caseload in your business kind of start to bring you like just energy and time wise to your ceiling with a full-time job and with running a business as well. And at that point, you kind of have to decide whether you want to stick with it being a side thing or if you want to go all in. Most people are not ready to quit or drop down like their hours at their full-time job at this point, only being 3 to 4 months into your business. But every single person that I have worked with who has prolonged this process and prolonged like quitting their job they all wish that they had done it sooner. Because you kind of hit this point where you just don't have like the energy or the bandwidth anymore to like really continue to progress your business. So you kind of have to make a decision. And I think that's important to put out there just for anybody who is wanting to start a business. And what about online versus in-person services? So I thought that this was kind of interesting as well. And this came up a lot more when more people were doing telehealth more during the pandemic. And what we have found is that in-person services, especially when you have like a presence and relationships in your community, you are going to be able to grow faster, like, from start date. You're going to be able to grow faster. However, like as long as you put in the effort to put yourself out there and build relationships and become part of a community, whether it's in person physically or online, you are also going to grow. A big part about business is building relationships. And as long as you're willing to do that, you will be just fine. And just some people who have been in locations for decades, they tend to build a caseload very quickly. Um, and then, do you need to already have your business set up to be successful in the program? The answer is no. Like the process will be faster because you're already set up. But this program definitely caters to people who are starting from scratch. And the plus side of starting from scratch and going through this program is that we make sure that you have everything set up that you need in order to be legit business entity and everything. And we are not skipping any steps, so you won't be forgetting anything. Okay, and then I figured I would show you a walkthrough of the program. And just so I don't forget, I wanted to mention that I had a question about this. The DPT to CEO program right now is being offered as a self-paced version. And this means that it is a course. There is a private community with other clinicians who are going through the program, but there's no one-on-one coaching, which is what I typically do. So all on your own. However, if you are a part of the self-paced program, I offer business coaching through my website. So if you wanted to set up an appointment here and there, by being a member of the DPT to CEO program, I'll offer a discount on coaching sessions. So if you're interested, just let me know. But let me change over my screen here. Any questions, feel free to drop them down below. And I will pull up the roadmap. All right. So this is a look inside the actual program. Everything in this program is based on this roadmap. There are 6 different phases that you can see down here on the side. And just to give you an idea of where we start, phase 1, getting started, is about mindset. Therapy business basics is part of this program, and that is setting up your business entity and making sure that you can take payment, you can do documentation, so that like if somebody just walked up to you off the street tomorrow, you could see them. Practice by design is helping you figure out who you're working with, what you're selling, and how you are offering the services. So a lot of the logistics. So that is phase 1. Phase 2 is pre-launch, or kind of before we like really put it out there that your business is open. We take a look at an introduction to sales. Most of us are pretty new to the sales process, and that is totally okay. Sales is something that like you can learn to be really good with sales. And I really try to, encourage all of us to find a sales process that feels good and that doesn't feel like icky or gross or anything. So that is the intro to sales part. There's the initial digital marketing setup, so making sure that you can be found online. Basic systems, which is really important for later on when you have a humming practice and a lot of appointments. You want to make sure that you have systems in place so that things are not super chaotic. Phase 3 is launching. So in this phase, I will teach you how to announce and launch yourself on social media, via email. The 100 challenge is one of my favorite things. This is a challenge to help you learn the skill of networking. There's information on how to host an event, so kind of like a webinar or doing a workshop. So, like through these phases, we have like the start phase, of course, but in phase 2 and phase 3 and further on, what you learn in these phases are skills that, like I mentioned earlier, you will be able to apply again in the future. So they're not just like, only therapy specific, but they are business building skills that will be really valuable to help you further down the road. And then we have phase 4, which is strategizing. And this is where we get into marketing strategy. This is something that I take a lot of pride in with building a marketing strategy, is that it's not just willy-nilly. It's not just throwing things at the wall to see what sticks, but we actually have like a diagram and a specific structure that we fill out together so that you have a solid idea of what your marketing strategy is going to be for your practice. And you understand why. So it's not just, hand out business cards, do networking, whatever. You have a plan in place that makes sense and has a good flow to it so that you are always able to capture leads and constantly have clients coming in. And then I also will teach you about content marketing, which has been super, super helpful for my business. And it's based on what I do for other practices as well. So it's very much like real-time stuff that I personally am learning and doing. I will then be teaching to you as well through the program. And then we have phase 5, which is systematizing. So going back to the basic systems, coming up with routines, data tracking, standard operating procedures. For some people, you might be ready for like creating funnels, paid ads, automation. But that's phase 5. And then phase 6 is learning how to branch out. So sometimes people at the end of this program are in a place where they're ready for the next step, where they have a full caseload, or they are wanting to create a wellness program or offer services online, work with Medicare patients as well, get better with their finances, hire somebody, get into more digital marketing stuff. So phase 6 is really about like learning what else is out there and how you might want to continue to level yourself up if you want. Or some people just double down on what they have done already. But I hope that all makes sense. I know it's kind of a lot. And the way that this works, so like once you join the program, the self-paced DPT to CEO program, you'll be able to come into this course platform and you'll get an email with all the instructions. And you'll go through the welcome module and then start phase 1. And you'll find the mindset piece here. There will be some information up top. There will be a lesson activity, and some of the lessons also have questions to help you process the information. And then you'll go on to the next lesson. So an introduction and the lesson activity. So you just start at the top of the roadmap and work your way all the way down and complete everything that is in the lesson activities. So let me know if you have any questions on that. And then the next piece, of course, is how do I join? So if this is something that is of interest to you and you're thinking, maybe you want to try to like check it out a little bit more and see, if it is for you, if you are ready to join the program as well, you can come to my website here. So let me pull this up. So you'll be able to go to morganmeese.com, and let me put it up in a banner as well. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Get more info at morganmeese.com/DPT-2-CEO. And on this page, this has a bunch more information about the program and what is included. So you can kind of like scroll through this, see what's what. But if you are ready, you can click on this button and it will take you down to the purchase section to purchase the self-paced program. And down here, as you'll see, at the time of this recording, the current price of this program is just $9.97, or there are a couple of other options. If you click on Get Instant Access, you'll get to this page, the purchase page, and you can see there are a few other options down here to choose from. So the full program by itself, one-time payment of $9.97, or if you want to pay monthly, you can do up to 6 payments of $3.97. So if it's something where you're thinking you want to kind of budget out for it a little bit more, there are a few different options. So let's see. I think that's that. And I'm running this sale, like you might have seen on the screen, that normally the course is up for sale for $2,500 on its own. But right now it is on sale at the time of this recording for just $9.97, or up to 6 payments of $3.97. And the next time that it will be up for sale, the price is going to be higher. So this is the last time that it will be available for just $9.97. So if it's something that you're interested in, you might want to check it out. And if you have any questions on the pricing stuff, feel free to shoot me an email, morgan@thewellphysio.com, or you can find more info on my website as well. And let me bring us back to the slideshow. So it looks like we are at our Q&A section. So if you are interested in this program, please let me know. Let me take this off. The sale that I'm running right now, it ends on Sunday night, I believe, is when it's scheduled until. And then the price will be going up on the program. Let's see. It's being offered as a self-paced program right now, like I mentioned. So there's no one-on-one coaching. If you are interested in coaching, 2 options. I'm doing these kind of like single as needed sessions that you can find on my website. If you are in the program, there is a discount for those sessions. And then most likely sometime at like the end of the summer, beginning of the fall is what I'm thinking right now. We might have openings again for one-on-one coaching. And the way that works is that we still follow the same curriculum. However, I meet with you on a weekly basis or every other week, and we work through it together. So I coach you through the entire program, and that is super helpful for accountability's sake, and just having somebody to continue to push you and provide momentum if that's helpful. But yeah, so that brings us to Q&A, and I wanted to take some time to answer some of the FAQs that I get from people who are in their business, getting started with their business, and I will try to put them up here on the screen as well as we're talking about them. So the first question that I spoke with somebody about yesterday is, where do I get started? And let me add that up here. So where do I get started? If I have nothing. What do I do? So you know that you want to run a business, start a practice. That's amazing. And if you are looking for resources, I have a few different options on my website. Let me see. On my blog, there is a blog post called The Simple Guide to Starting a Cash-Based Physical Therapy Practice. And I'm not sure if I can leave a comment here. I think I might be able to leave a comment on the YouTube channel. I'll post a link to the blog post. And this goes over like the basics of stuff that you need. A lot of it can also be found in my ebook as well. If you want an actual checklist, definitely download the ebook. And you'll be able to find that on my website as well. But this blog post would be a great place to start to give you an idea of what is needed. And then if you want further instructions on how to actually set up your business entity, the Therapy Business Basics mini course would be the next step. And I'll put that in the comments here as well. In this course, it will show you exactly how to set up a business entity, like business licensing, insurance, documentation, payments. I want to say scheduling, like all the basic stuff that you need to see a patient on your own. That is what this course goes over and walks you through it. Also with a checklist to make sure that you're not missing anything. So that would be another good place to start. So that's usually one of the first questions that I get is, where do I start with this stuff? And then the next question that I get is, what EMR do I use? So this one, I also have a blog post for, and this year I'm planning to go through a few new EMR systems. Like Jane is something that has become really popular in the last year or so. I used to use Intake Q that I really liked. I know a lot of people like Simple Practice. I currently use Google Workspace because I only have, like I said, like a handful of patients. So it works out okay for me as far as workflow goes. And it is the lowest cost option for documentation. But if you would rather have an all-in-one software with like all the scheduling in it and documentation forms, I really did like Intake Q, which is now called Practice Q. And I've heard really good things about Jane, which is the one that I still have to look into a little bit more. And I know for a while, a lot of people were using PT Everywhere as well. So those are a few different ones that I recommend, and stay tuned for the next or updated blog post about EMRs in 2023. Here's a question that I get all the time that I need to just make like a blog post about. But should I get business cards? And I would love to know, those of you who are watching, do you have business cards for your business, for your practice? I have business cards, and I think I bought maybe like 500 of them when I first opened. Probably still have 450 of them several years later. I always keep a few in my wallet. I've found that like occasionally when I'm out, people ask for it, but it's not often. And I personally don't go and drop them off at different places in town. So my advice to you about this, about like, should I get business cards, is yes, but you probably will only purchase them once. I did just meet a chiropractor though, who said she's gone through like 1,500 business cards. So kind of depends. I think they're good to have, but I wouldn't stress about them too much. Just something that has your business information and your information, contact information on it, I think would be really helpful. But it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Next question. LLC versus PLLC, etc. I see this question a lot, like in the Facebook group, I see this question a lot. And I actually have a video on this that I will post in the chat, of course, post in the comments. You can find it on my YouTube channel. But it is a video about whether you should be a sole proprietorship, LLC, S corp, and I go over like the pros and cons to them. So that would be really great to check out, and that should be able to answer some of those questions. The next question that I have here is, what's the typical time frame to success? So somebody asked me this, and I wanted to touch on it to talk about uh, like what to expect realistically. I know we talked a little bit about this earlier, where at some point if you're working full time, you're going to have to decide whether you want to continue or drop to part time or quit totally and go all in on your business. The longer that you stay working at another job, the longer it's going to take for you to see the success that you want in your own business. And it really it comes down a lot to like energy and time. And when you are spending that extra energy and time not on your business, it makes your results come slower. And that also will have an impact on your confidence in the entire process. And if your confidence is starting to decrease, that makes it really hard to continue to be motivated. So, it's definitely an individual thing to figure out. But it can be anywhere, like getting a full caseload can take anywhere between, some people have done it in like 2 weeks after they launched, to like a year and a half, maybe. For those people where it took a much longer time, they were still working a lot of hours at another job or multiple jobs. And it's just time. So hard to say, but if you have less time that you have to dedicate elsewhere, you will be seeing patients and see a fuller caseload a lot sooner. And speaking of time and everything, how much time should I spend on my business every week? I thought that this is a really good question for people who are working full time, just to kind of give you a gauge of what to expect when you're first starting. And I would expect, if you really want to see this thing pick up steam, to be working on your business at least 5 hours a week, if not somewhere between 5 and 10. That's what I would kind of like a lot for at first. Some people might be faster. They're faster at doing things on a computer. Or maybe you have more set up at the beginning, but it's going to be a time commitment, but it's not going to be like, a full 25 hours a week that you have to worry about. So if you can spend at least 5 hours a week on your business and working on moving things forward and making progress, then you should be good to go. And let's see. I think the last question that I have here is, when should I leave my job? And I wanted to throw this up because this is something that some people they come to the sticking point and they're not sure when they should leave. And it's going to be totally personal, of course, and whatever is best for your life. You have to take care of yourself and of course take care of your family too. But a way to objectively look at it that I might suggest, just to give you kind of like a ballpark idea of like what what to look for would be to figure out what you need in your business, appointments wise per week, in order to replace your income that you're currently getting from your other job, and then figure out what 50 to 75% of that is, either appointments wise or money wise. And once you hit that point, then it's time to seriously start considering leaving the job. So we could work out some numbers, but I'm not good at making up numbers on the spot. But I think that that gives you at least like a little bit of a threshold and like a kind of tangible idea of when it might be time to take a look at those things. So that, you aren't staying in a full-time job and, you're also seeing somehow 20 patients a week, and wanting to pull your hair out because you're just working so much. You have to start looking for this milestone or mile marker, I suppose, to give you the heads up that, like, hey, I need to start seriously considering changing this other thing that I'm doing so that I can focus on my business. If you have questions on that, please leave them in the chat and in the comments down below. I'd be happy to go over it a little bit more, but I hope that that helps. So, I think that brings us to the end of tonight's presentation. I know it's been a little while since I've been on a live here, but I want to just thank everybody so much who was able to make it tonight. I have been sharing about the DPT to CEO self-paced program for about a week and a half now. It's something I'm really excited about. I have worked on this program for a while, and it definitely feels like a solid roadmap to help you get started. And it's now available for purchase, and you can join ASAP. It'll be up on my website, the link here down below. If you have questions about it, if it's for you, feel free to shoot me an email at morgan@thewellphysio.com. And you can also book a call with me, like a consultation call, to see if any of the things are a good fit for you. So please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope that you have a good rest of your night. Thanks again so much for coming. And go check out the program, DPT to CEO. Yeah, and I will see you on the next one.